My wife thought she could get away with cheating until I turned the tables. Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd be writing here, but after everything that's happened, I honestly don't know where else to turn. I, 33Y, have been married to my wife, let's call her Linda, 31Y, for 7 years. From the outside, we looked like the perfect couple, decent jobs, nice house, even a dog we both adored. But over the past few months, something changed. Linda became impossible to please. She snapped at everything, my cooking, the way I folded towels, even how I talked to the neighbors. She started coming home late with lame excuses. The traffic was insane. Even though we both know she works from home 3 days a week, glued to her phone, and acting like I was the enemy for asking what was up. I tried to brush it off. Told myself maybe she was stressed or just in a weird phase. But deep down, I felt a knot in my stomach that just kept getting tighter. That's when the real storm started brewing. Things got weirder. Linda used to be super open with her phone. She'd even hand it to me to order takeout or pick a Spotify playlist. Suddenly, she started guarding it like it was the launch codes to a nuclear missile. She'd flip the screen over if I walked by and literally snatch it back if I so much as glanced at it. She started working late, more often, even though her job was remote. She'd claim she had to go into the office for a big project, but came home wearing perfume she never used before and lipstick that mysteriously vanished as soon as she walked in the door. Her tone turned cold, sarcastic, and if I questioned anything, I was being controlling or paranoid. Little did she know, I was paying attention, and I was about to find more than I bargained for. It all blew up one Thursday night. Linda was in the shower and left her phone on the bed, unlocked, for once. I wasn't snooping, honestly, but a string of notifications from Trent, work, kept popping up, each one more suspicious than the last. One even had a heart emoji. I know, privacy and all that. But something inside me snapped. I picked up her phone and scrolled through their texts. What I found made my stomach drop. Flirty messages, late-night plans, even a picture of her in the dress I bought for our anniversary, sent to him. And then, as if on cue, Trent sent, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe." It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. That was the moment I knew I couldn't ignore this anymore. Linda got out of the shower, humming like nothing was wrong. I was still sitting there, holding her phone. When she saw me, she instantly froze. The fake smile vanished. I asked her, as calmly as I could, "Who's Trent?" She didn't even try to hide her annoyance. She snatched the phone, rolled her eyes, and spat out, "Oh my God, are you seriously going through my messages now? You're so insecure." She tried to walk past me, acting like I was the villain for daring to question her. But I wouldn't move. I told her I'd seen everything, every text, every photo. She still kept lying, insisting it was just work stuff, that I was making things up in my head, and that Trent was only a friend. But the look on her face said it all. She'd been caught, and she was furious about it. Linda's attitude went from annoyed to full-on hostile. She accused me of being controlling and abusive for looking at her phone, totally ignoring the fact that I just uncovered her affair. She said, "If you trusted me, you wouldn't have to spy on me like some psycho." I tried to keep my cool, but her nonstop deflection was unbelievable. She started yelling about how I never listen and make everything about myself. When I asked her point blank if she was cheating, she scoffed, "Wow, you really are paranoid. Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't need to text my friends for attention." Every time I tried to get a straight answer, she twisted things around, acting like I was the problem and she was the victim. But in that moment, I realized I wasn't crazy, and I wasn't backing down. Just when I thought she'd keep lying forever, Linda exploded. "Fine. Yes, I've been seeing Trent. Are you happy now?" She said it like it was my fault, like I'd forced her into a confession. There was no apology, just more attitude. Then, out of nowhere, she launched into a tirade about how our marriage was stale, how I never made her feel special, and how she deserved better. She claimed she only cheated because she was so unhappy and needed excitement, acting as if the affair was some tragic consequence of my flaws. I just sat there, stunned. After all the gaslighting, all the denials, she just dropped the truth like it was nothing. The worst part? She still made it all about her. After Linda's confession, the anger hit me like a truck. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make her feel even a fraction of the hurt she'd dumped on me. But all I could do was sit there in shock, replaying every moment in my mind, every suspicious glance, every cold shoulder, every lie. She just kept going, ranting about how everyone cheats, how monogamy is overrated, and how I was too naive to understand real life. The more she talked, the more I realized just how far gone she was. There was no remorse, not even a hint of guilt. I felt completely alone in my own house. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made, every time I'd put her first. It was like I'd woken up in someone else's nightmare, and all she cared about was making herself the victim. That night, I barely slept. Linda stormed off to the guest room, slamming the door like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I lay awake, going over everything in my head, her lies, her twisted logic, her total lack of shame. By morning, something inside me snapped. I realized I couldn't just let her walk all over me and rewrite the story to make herself the hero. If she wanted drama, I could deliver. So, I started documenting everything: screenshots of texts, receipts for her work trips, even her weird credit card charges. I quietly contacted a lawyer and got advice on what to do next. I wasn't going to let her paint me as the villain while she got off scot-free. I decided right then, if she wanted to play games, she was about to lose. Over the next week, I kept things cool. I acted normal, asked Linda how her day was, made dinner, laughed at her dumb jokes. All the while, I was building my case. I talked to my lawyer, gathered every scrap of evidence, and even reached out to Trent's girlfriend. Yep, turns out he had one. When I finally had everything I needed, I set my plan in motion. I invited Linda to dinner, her favorite takeout, candles, the works. She acted smug, like she'd already won. Halfway through, I calmly slid a folder across the table full of printouts, texts, screenshots, and proof. Her face went white. Before she could start her drama routine, I told her I'd spoken to Trent's girlfriend. I let her know I'd already met with a lawyer. I was done playing the fool. The look on her face was priceless. She wasn't in control anymore, I was. Linda tried every tactic in the book. First, she got angry, shouting that I was ruining her life, that I was so petty for gathering evidence. Then came the waterworks, fake tears, sob stories about how she was just confused and how I never understood her. She even tried to blame Trent, calling him a manipulator. I didn't budge. I told her the marriage was over and I wanted her out of the house. She went from begging to screaming in about 30 seconds, hurling insults and threats, warning me I'd regret this. But I felt strangely calm. For the first time in months, I was in control of my own story. Linda finally stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The house was quiet, but I could finally breathe. The days after Linda left were surreal. Part of me kept expecting her to come back, apologize, say it was all a bad dream. Instead, she sent angry texts, tried to spin the story to her friends, and even posted vague status updates about betrayal on social media. But the truth was out. Trent's girlfriend dumped him, and word about Linda's double life spread fast. A few friends tried to stay neutral, but most saw through her act, especially when they heard my side, backed by all the proof. I started sleeping better. The house was mine again, quiet, peaceful. The anxiety that had lived in my stomach for months slowly faded. I finally started to feel like myself. Even with Linda gone, the pain didn't disappear overnight. Some days, I felt relieved, almost euphoric, that I'd stood up for myself. Other days, I felt angry and hollow, wondering how I could have missed so many signs, or how someone I loved could treat me like that. I went for long walks, started journaling, and talked things out with close friends and family. I kept reminding myself that I did everything I could to save the marriage, but in the end, I wasn't responsible for her choices. Therapy helped too. I learned that healing from betrayal isn't about forgetting. It's about accepting, processing, and moving forward. Piece by piece, I was putting my life back together. As the weeks passed, I started to focus on myself for the first time in years. I picked up old hobbies, reconnected with friends, and even traveled a bit. The freedom was new, a little scary, but also exciting. Linda tried to reach out once or twice, first with angry messages, then with half-hearted apologies, and finally with silence when she realized I wasn't coming back. I didn't respond. I was done letting her drama rule my life. For the first time, I realized I was stronger than I thought. I wasn't just the guy who got cheated on. I was the guy who stood up, set boundaries, and took his life back. With time, the anger faded and was replaced by something like acceptance. I stopped replaying old arguments in my head and started thinking about the future. I realized I deserved someone honest, someone who valued loyalty and respect, not just excitement or drama. I put myself back out there, dating casually, meeting new people, discovering what I wanted and what I absolutely wouldn't tolerate. I even started to appreciate the quiet, ordinary moments that used to drive Linda crazy. Life wasn't perfect, but it finally felt real again. I was building something new on my own terms. Looking back, I wish I'd trusted my gut sooner and stood up for myself before things got so out of hand. If there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's that you can't force someone to love or respect you. They have to choose that every day. If you're reading this and you see the signs, don't let anyone gaslight you or make you feel like you're crazy. Protect your peace, gather your evidence, and don't be afraid to walk away from someone who treats you like an option. Betrayal hurts, but losing yourself to someone who doesn't care hurts even more. Healing takes time, but it's worth it. Thanks for listening, Reddit. If anyone else is in this situation, stay strong. It does get better.